What if the sun disappeared for exactly 1 second? This question might sound simple. The sun vanishes. 1 second passes. It comes back. End of story, right? Not exactly. Let's imagine that at exactly 12 p.m., the sun simply ceases to exist. Not just turns off its light, it vanishes from spacetime. No light, no mass, no gravity. Just gone. For 1 second. Then, at 12 o'clock and 1 second p.m., it returns. As if nothing happened. But during that 1 second, a lot would happen. First, light. The sun is about 150 million kilometers away. Light from the sun takes about 8 minutes and 20 seconds to reach Earth. So if the sun disappeared right now, we wouldn't know for another 500 seconds. Everything would seem fine at first. You'd still be squinting, birds would still be chirping, and the sky would still be blue. But in space? Panic. Mercury, closest to the sun, would be the first to notice. Or more accurately, would not notice, because it would be in freefall. The sun's gravity holds the planets in orbit. If the sun vanishes, its gravitational grip vanishes with it. For 1 second, every planet in the solar system would stop orbiting and start moving in a straight line, according to Newton's first law. In that 1 second, Earth would travel about 30 kilometers in a straight line. That doesn't sound like much, but it's enough to cause trouble. When the sun reappears a second later, gravity resumes like nothing happened. But Earth is now slightly out of place. The perfect balance between centripetal force and gravity is broken. The result, Earth is now in a slightly different orbit. A bit more elliptical. Not enough to kill us, but enough to confuse every single satellite engineer on Earth. And astronomers? They'd freak out. Planetary motion would no longer match predictions. Tides would shift. Eclipses would be mistimed. Our whole calendar would be off, by just a little. But that's just gravity. What about light? Let's fast forward 8 minutes. At 12:08 and 20 seconds p.m., the sunlight that left the sun at the moment it disappeared suddenly doesn't arrive. That means Earth enters 1 second of absolute, terrifying darkness. The sky, even if it's noon, would go black. Not sunset, not twilight, instant night. Stars would pop out. Animals would freeze. Plants would stop photosynthesizing for a moment. Solar panels would register a drop to zero. Streetlights might turn on and off again, depending on their sensitivity. Temperature wouldn't drop much in that 1 second. Earth's atmosphere has enough thermal inertia to handle it. But psychologically, it would be chilling. Imagine you're walking outside, under a bright sky, and then for 1 full second, darkness. Cold, starry, moonless darkness. Then, snap. Daylight returns. The sun is back. The sky turns blue again. Birds go back to tweeting. People look at each other like, did that just happen? If the sun reappears exactly as it was, with the same temperature and mass and velocity, the laws of physics would allow the solar system to restabilize, mostly. But the solar system is a fragile clock, and we just skipped a tick. Long term, this 1 second anomaly could create tiny gravitational ripples in planetary orbits. Over millions of years, those ripples could add up. But it gets weirder. Because the sun's disappearance would send a gravitational shockwave. According to general relativity, changes in gravity propagate at the speed of light. So just like the darkness, the sudden loss of gravity from the sun would reach us after 8 minutes. And when it does, Earth would jolt. Every orbiting body would suddenly feel that, for 1 second, the center of its universe disappeared. It would be like the whole solar system was tossed off balance for a brief moment, and then forced to pretend everything was fine. Satellites? Most would survive, but their orbits would shift slightly. Enough to mess with GPS-precise communication satellites would desync. The International Space Station would wobble. Some satellites might be thrown into incorrect orbits and be lost forever. And don't even get me started on the sun's magnetic field. If the sun disappears for a second and then reappears, what happens to its vast, tangled web of magnetic forces that stretch across the solar system? Would they snap? Reform? Explode? We don't know. But if they did snap, that could release massive solar storms, even though the sun was gone for just 1 second. 1 second. That's the strange part. This isn't about how long the sun is gone. It's about the fact that something so constant, so foundational to our existence, could vanish, even briefly. The psychological impact alone would be enormous. Every religion, every government, every scientist, everyone would be asking, what just happened? Why? Was it a glitch in the simulation? A message? A test? The odds of this happening naturally are zero. So the moment the sun disappears, even for a second, the real panic begins after it comes back. Because now we know, it can go away. Subscribe for more interesting